Hey everybody, it's the Orange Rhino, also known as Sheila, or Sheila, also known as the Orange Rhino. I haven't figured out which way to put that. Anyway, this is my second video blog post. If you caught my post the other night, I hurt my shoulder and I can't type, which brings me to the perfect story for tonight for my blog. And it is called What Made Me Finally Yell After 520 Days. Okay, that's not entirely accurate. I yelled, what was it, about a year ago during the summer in July. I tried everything that morning, but I finally snapped after my 520-day streak, and I yelled. But that's really not what I'm focusing on. I'm going to focus on after that. After the 520 days, I told myself I was going to pick up and again go for a streak of not yelling because I'd found that not yelling was so wonderful. I felt better, my kids felt better. All around, it was worth all the effort to not yell. So I was chugging along, and not going to lie, I got cocky. And one day I yelled. And I'm okay with that now. I forgave myself. I'm the Orange Rhino, but as I say, I'm also still human. And as I sit here tonight, I can clearly tell you why I yelled. Mosquito, get out of here. I can tell you why I yelled after that 520-day streak. So again, I have this injury, and I wore my sling all day Thursday and Friday like a good little patient. And I wore it all day Saturday because I knew today was my son's birthday and I wanted to be able to not wear the sling, and I wanted to make his birthday cake and, do things that I wanted to do to feel like I was being the mom I like to be on birthdays. So my arm was feeling good this morning and I took the sling off. I thought, yeah, I got this in the bag. I am feeling great. I don't need to pay attention to my injury. Time out. Car passing. Do 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 do. Yes, I'm doing this outside because it's glorious and I'm going to take advantage before it's -30 and snowing. Anyway, so I took my arm off, my sling out, because I figured I got this in the bag. My arm feels fine. Yeah, okay, that was a bad mistake. My arm is throbbing. I've been wincing again just like I was Thursday. And the moral of the story is I got cocky, just like when I yelled after that 520-day streak. Learning to yell less, and I know you don't want to hear this, it's a constant journey. Every day I have to remind myself of the challenge. I have to remind myself to be an Orange Rhino. I have to remind myself to, stay on task, to talk to myself, to tell my kids, I love them when I want to scream, to do everything that I've learned to not yell so that I can keep not yelling at the top of my mind. That's what the sling did. Having the sling on, it kept my injury at the top of my mind. It made me pay more attention to how I used it or didn't use my arm, and it kept it from not hurting. I took it off, thinking that everything was fine. I didn't have to pay attention, and it's hurting again. Again, same thing with why I yelled again. I took my eye off the ball. I took off, let's say, the Orange Rhino sling, if you will, and thought that I had this in the bag, and I was feeling fine, and I knew what I was doing, and I lost focus, and that day I yelled. You might be thinking at this moment, Orange Rhino, you are totally demotivating, because that's really not inspiring to hear that after all this time you still have to remind yourself to not yell. And the truth is, folks, it is so much easier. Like before, when I started it, every second was like, do not yell, I will not yell, I'm an Orange Rhino, I see orange, constant. The first day I went to bed exhausted, literally. I flopped on the bed and I said, this is the hardest thing ever. But as time goes on, getting myself to remember the challenge, getting myself to that place to remember to not yell, it's easy. Do I still have to remind myself? Yes, but that's what it's like with any habit, I have to remind myself you don't need to eat the entire bag of Lay's potato chips, even though you have your period, because you don't want to. I have to remind myself, to drink lots of water. I have to remind myself to exercise. All these habits that are good habits, we don't realize, but we constantly remind ourselves daily to do them. And they just become easier with more and more practice. So that's kind of my wisdom for tonight. Takeaway for me is put your arm back in the sling, Sheila, and stop being an idiot because you really want to be typing. Don't just jump the gun and think you're better. You're not. And the moral of the story from an Orange Rhino standpoint is stay on the path. If you find yourself yelling and you slip up, forgive yourself, get right back in and get it top of mind once again. But also, more so, if you're having a good streak, if you're going 7 days, feel confident, by all means, get a little bit cocky and feel proud and celebrate. I think that's part of why I was able to succeed. But don't get so cocky that you think you've got it in the bag that the next day you yell because you lost focus. I know it's a very delicate balance. I maybe sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth or whatever that saying is. I don't know these sayings and how they work. But that's just a lesson I learned. So there you have it. I am now going to go put my arm back in my sling like a good little girl and promptly plop my butt on the couch and watch TV so that I do not use my arm because it's driving me nuts that I can't use my right hand. And again, I refuse. I refuse to be injured and debilitated. So that's it. I hope you guys all had a fantastic weekend. It's supposed to be beautiful this week. I hope it is for you too. And I will talk to you soon. Good night.